concept, I guess, is the tragedy of war and why we keep repeating it. Growing up in Newfoundland, I use events that in Newfoundland's history as a means to tell my stories. World War I, and this was a battle that took place 100 years ago this year. And it's a very tragic day in the history of Newfoundland. And in the rest of the country, we celebrate July 1st as Canada Day. In Newfoundland, they celebrate Canada Day, but it doesn't start till in the afternoon. In the morning, they're mourning that particular day in their history, and it's very somber, and it's like Remembrance Day is to the rest of the country. I left Newfoundland in '79, first time, and I went back for a year, and I again left again. But I knew about this growing up, but when you're a young person, it doesn't register. And a few years ago, I went down there to do some research on another project I was interested in doing, and I happened to be there on July 1st. And it just struck me how strange it was. Like in the morning, flags are at half-mast, there's military parades, you know, people are going through all this ritual. And then in the afternoon, everything flips and it becomes a celebration. I happened to be at the Newfoundland Memorial University doing research at the Institute for Newfoundland Studies, and so I decided to, while I'm here, let's find out more about this and what all is behind it. And then it led to this project. I served for 2 years in the reserves of Royal Newfoundland Regiment as a young person, so I have that personal connection to it. It was the 100th anniversary, so I thought this was a good time to do the project. It's also in the middle of a series of a body of work which has 6 pieces, like this is number 3. So I felt this was a good time to do this piece. These events, they may have occurred in Newfoundland, but you can relate them to other societies, other cultures throughout the world. In this particular one, where there's a lot of things that are fragile and breakable, like ceramic, like glass, like mirrors, I think it's appropriate because bodies with bullets and bombs are very fragile. By putting it on multiple walls, the reflections, you not only get the 68 survivors, but the reflection gives you a sense that the souls of the people who were killed the day before are with you. The identity disc, I just chose those as a way to represent the individual. Although there was hundreds of people, each one was an individual, and they meant something to probably a lot of people, a lot of families that were thousands of miles away across an ocean. It was my way to bring the individual in there without bringing a specific individual in. Their history is interesting. When I was doing the research on it, like they're made of asbestos and put on a rope. Like asbestos in today's world is dangerous by itself, you know. Before 1916 there was just one, and then in 1916 they added a second one because they were losing track of the people that were getting killed without the 2 identity tags. But the second one was, rather than make it like the first, which was a disc, they made it in an octagon shape. And a different color, it was green. So I thought that was interesting. It reminds me when I'm when the exhibition is set up, not to take myself too seriously. Even if the topic I'm talking about is very serious, there's still a lot I don't know, and there's a lot we all don't know, and don't get too full of who you are and that sort of thing. In all my work and all the things that I do about, the most important thing to me is human life. A disrespect and a disregard or abuse of it in any form is never a good thing, and it doesn't matter if it's Newfoundland or China or the US. Like, lives matter. They should be paramount, not war, not violence.
My favorite place, the Graffiti Gallery, has been turned into a beautiful kaleidoscope of color and water. We want to welcome to Winnipeg Shellac and Smokey, and you have done unbelievably incredible graffiti art here in this place. So I'm going to go turn with you, Shellac. I guess the theme of this and the purpose for you being here in Winnipeg.
So the show is called Merging. And what we are here to do is talk about some themes that kind of overlay our work throughout the years. We're really talking about the environment, and our purpose here on Earth in a way, and how we treat Mother Earth. So it's a story. So we're storytellers, visual storytellers, and we want to take the viewer into this magical world. It's almost like a dreamscape. And it's reality, but also it's kind of going into this imagination world. So the murals on the walls of the Graffiti Gallery tell the story of the cut trees, of the water being contaminated, of pollution, air pollution, of different elements that how our product consuming madness is creating what the impacts are having on the earth. And then we have our canvases displayed on these murals, and each one is kind of like a clip of this world.
Oh, wow. Smokey, now I'm going to ask you a bit of history with you and Shellac, the Clandestinos, and Toronto.
Well, we met in Rio in 2010, and since then we've been collaborating and living together and living the dream that we both dream about it our whole life, and it's been fun. And in Toronto we have being like very welcome, and being able to paint there too. It's a big thing for us, and we're kind of happy to be in Canada now in the past 3 years, and it's been fun.
Okay, and you have a bit of a Winnipeg connection, Shellac.
Yeah, I actually used to live here for 2 years. So my last 2 years of high school, I went to Vincent Massey. So I'm excited to see old friends tonight at the opening. Pretty exciting.
Now, I mean, Toronto is much bigger, Smokey, than Winnipeg, but I guess the general message and the general, I guess, idea of what you want to inspire local artists here would be, what would that be?
I think bringing colors to any kind of city, it's important, and small or big, I think there's a public for it. And we are always bringing for the most notorious and random places. That's the way that we are, and I like more that way, because we can kind of like, bringing messages to places that sometimes need it more than a downtown Toronto, for example, that people just are walking by just in their cell phones and so busy to work. So I think it would be good for the community here, this kind of art, and also like not just like Shellac say, bringing the master, but also like bringing colors and another vision of artists too. Like we're from South, and bringing this kind of culture, translating the art, it's a very interesting for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now here in Graffiti Gallery, they really they cater to the community and instilling art in the young people. And you are staying here for 2 weeks, and you're doing something else to beautify our downtown too.
Yeah, we've been really lucky to have this whole package of projects here. So we have the exhibit, and then we're also doing a 4-story mural at the Vineyard Church. So it's just north of the train tracks on Main. And so we're dedicating a piece. It's called Mending. So it's a woman, First Nations, kind of representing the different nations of the Americas. So from the very south to the very north. And she's mending a broken heart, but that heart is glowing, and it has a lot of hope as well.
Oh, wow. You are going to bring so much joy and so much hope into our community. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you to Steve Wilson from Graffiti Gallery for bringing Shellac and Smokey here. The mural on Main Street will unveil October 1st, part of Nuit Blanche, and you have to come down to the Graffiti Gallery and see this work. It is going to be here until November. For Backstage, I'm Tracy Koga. After the break, it's music from the Heights, and later on in the show, it's a backlane chat with rapper Il Vibe.
I talk about love, I talk about life. I'm not a gangster rapper or glorifying violence or any of those things.